Hi, Kate. I really appreciated your post. I think you explained everything very well, and I feel like this could have been my post with the amount of information you gave. Pertinent information, should I say. But, okay, so it looks like you had kind of like a combination of two different people. So, for Kevorkian, it is interesting that he is labeled as Dr. Death. That is terrifying. And to go off of that, I noted here that unfortunately we learn from a lot of sad and tragic occurrences. So I think that's why this particular doctor was able to, you know, have an effect on so many people and pretty much kill that many people. So I just wanted to say that regarding, like, that's how we learn, and unfortunately that's how, like, a lot of the laws and stuff are put in place because of, like, such horrible and tragic situations. Not necessarily saying that it's a good thing, but, like, in the aspect where we are learning from it and we have laws set in place to avoid further injury and harm to people, I think that's the only good outcome that comes from it. And then for your first question, you said, what are your thoughts on physician-assisted suicide for the psychologically ill? How is this different or the same as a patient who has an illness such as terminal cancer? So for that question, I just wanted to say that I don't believe there's anything ethically wrong with providing physician-assisted suicide. I think it is something that is kind of is involved with a good death, like a good and happy death. I think it is necessary for cases such as Maynard's with the terminally ill cancer, or I think she had a brain tumor or brain cancer. But in the psychologically ill, now that is kind of tricky. That's where things can be seen in a light where, well, if they do have a terminally ill, terminal, just like illness, is physician assisted suicide okay for them, even though they're not necessarily mentally all there? So that's a little tricky. I mean, I think they still should be able to receive the treatments as a person who is more psychologically stable. So there is that. And then for your second question about, I think it's regarding Maynard. What do you think about the situation of a patient who is mentally competent but unable to physically take the medication themselves? So in Maynard's case, she had a terminal illness in which she was able to get provided the physician-assisted medication for the physician-assisted suicide, and she was able to take it herself. However, I think what you're asking is if, like, they're quadriplegic and they physically cannot put the pill in their mouths, if that's a different instance. I feel like when the prescriber does provide the prescription for the medication, it is kind of like determined there who and when, or who's gonna provide the medication for the patient, or or the time and place that it is going to occur. So I think as long as these guidelines are set and there is a dedicated person who is able to, be the provider of the medication, I think that's where things can, be okay. However, if this person is, like, isolated, has no family, I think there should be a directed person to be able to administer this medication. And especially if this person's mentally competent, I don't think there should be any reason to deprive this person of this option. So overall, I do think that these two cases that you were assigned are very interesting nonetheless. But yeah, unfortunately, Dr. Kevorkian didn't necessarily ethically do the right things, but I think overall the outcome is good in the sense that there are changes now in order to prevent stuff like that from happening. So again, thank you, Kate. Appreciated your post.